Welcome to Team Hope. Thank you for being with us today. So our goal here at Team Hope is to contribute just a little bit of hope or resilience into the world. So we're looking at strategies today that can help with that. These strategies are not something we do to people. They're something we either do with people, or more importantly, they're a way of being with people. So the one we're going to look at right now is called the safety script. So the safety script is something I actually stumbled upon creating unexpectedly back when I was a teacher. And in my classroom, I had a giant sign that said, "This is our safe place," because I wanted all the students to know that this classroom is our safe place, not my safe place that I was sharing with them. It was something we were creating together. This is our safe place. And I found myself, when I needed to correct them, using some form of this structure. Hey, John, this is our safe place. No one's going to knock your stuff off the desk. So it's really important that you not knock Carolyn's stuff off her desk, because this is our safe place. And then together we'd figure out how to solve whatever the problem was that caused things to go flying off everyone's desk. But I was amazed at how, when I would start with, "This is our safe place," and then tell the youth how I was going to protect them from the very thing they were doing, I got their attention. And then I could set the limit of the reason it was important for them to not do that thing. And then I would close it off with, "This is a safe place." This was working for me for at least 15 years when I got to go to some trainings with Amy Banks and Maureen Walker from the Jean Baker Miller Training Institute at Wellesley College. And I said, "You know what? Do you have any idea why this worked so well?" So they went and played with it for about 6 months. And when I saw them again 6 months later for a different training, they said, "Well, when you say this is our safe place, you send calming chemicals to the brain and you get the attention of the fear center. And the thinking brain can't come online till the fear center calms down and gives it permission to think. And then you tell the person how you're going to protect them from the very thing they're doing." And this is helpful because in environments where you haven't been protected, you've had to put your needs first. So by showing them how you're going to protect them from this very thing, this survival skill they developed in a very different, very unsafe environment is being shown to them to no longer be needed in this new environment. So now the brain is ready to hear you set a limit that is connected with safety. And limits connected with safety are the limits that the fear center will allow the rest of the brain to hear and engage. And then finally, you close it all off, reminding them that this is our safe place, which can give them a little hit of dopamine, that strongest neurochemical that not only heals the damage done from trauma or stress, it also helps our brain grow new neural connections, helps them grow faster, work faster, and live longer. So it's got a nice little neuroscience backing, and it works. Over time, I've worked in many environments where, with the best of our efforts, we may want it to be a safe place, but sometimes it's just not. Or if I've worked with children who have survived domestic violence, being told that someplace is a safe place doesn't really ring true to them. But when we can invite people in by using a safety script that says, "We want this to be a safe place," or "We want this to be our safe place," that's a way to bring people in and to share the responsibility. So this safety script looks at, we want this to be a safe place. I won't let anyone blank, so I can't let you blank because we want this to be a safe place. And then a friend of mine, Marsha McLagan, who will share with us how she's used this, has taught us that what she did is that she gave the blank safety script to her students. And together, each student came up with what was important to not happen in their classroom in order for them to feel safe. So we want this to be a safe place. It's important that no one and each student got to fill in the blank with something that it was important for them not happen. So I'm not going to. So now they're committing to not doing this thing. Why? Because this is a safe place. This was also used at the developmental centers, and it was very helpful. In fact, many times it was found that people who showed up for certain challenging behavior would often put that in their safety script. Hey, we want this to be a safe place. It's important that no one hit me. So I'm not going to hit anyone else because we want this to be a safe place. And then they got to decorate them. And this all became part of the environment in which they were living, the house in which they were living. So then someone came back to me and said, wow, we're focusing on what not to do. What if we also focused on what we'd like to happen instead? Replacement behaviors. The brain loves them because the brain loves to grow, doesn't like to die. So if you're always telling the brain what not to do, it's actually going to work to hold on to that thing because it doesn't want to lose any part of itself. But when you give it something new, it'll grow toward that because it loves to grow more than it's afraid of dying off. And as it grows towards something new, what's no longer needed naturally dies off. That's how our brain works. So we added this in at the developmental centers, and Marsha did in her classroom. We want this to be our safe place. It's important that we blank. So my young man who felt it was very important that he not get hit, we sat down and figured out what's important that we do with our hands then if we're not going to hit. He decided it's important that we help each other with our hands. So I'm going to help other people with my hands because we want this to be our safe place. So we're going to have someone share with us how they have used the safety script in their world. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, my name is Marsha McLagan, and I am a preschool teacher as well as a became a foster parent recently. So in my classroom, I have a mixture of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, all with varying needs and varying developmental levels. The safety script has been an important strategy that I've used with the preschoolers in my classroom. Strategies that I've used before, reminding them to keep their hands to themselves, just seemed like I was beating my head against the wall and those behaviors would resurface, getting the same behaviors repetitively. But when I applied that safety script, the responses that I got from the kiddos were a lot better. So using that safety script, reminding them that in the classroom, we keep ourselves safe. I am not going to let anybody hurt them, so they may not hurt anyone else in the classroom. So today specifically had that exact incident, lining up, everybody's bumping into each other, all in a crowded space, which again is developmentally appropriate for preschoolers. But when our hands do start to get all over the place, someone did end up getting hit, did not like it. So brought that kiddo to me, reminded her about our rules in the classroom. And the safety script is just embedded in what we do every day. So reminded her that we keep our hands to ourselves, using that language again, but then adding those words to, remember, I'm not going to let anybody hurt you. So should you hurt or hit anybody else? And she answered those questions. No, I shouldn't hit anybody. It's not nice. And so went right back to the routine in the classroom. And again, this is something that we've been doing since the beginning of the school year. So it looks a lot easier now in the spring when we're approaching kiddos with that safety script and reminding them about those things. And we were able to continue with the day. An example of using the safety script, I combine it with the 3 Ps as well. When we're moving about the building, going to different areas of the building that we haven't been before, especially at the beginning of the school year. Very much so when we're doing fire drills or tornado drills or a lockdown drill, those times can be very stressful for the kiddos, loud. And those are things that we discuss when we know that we're going to have a fire drill. So those 3 Ps, using that, what are we going to see? What are we going to hear? And then what are we going to do? It's getting 18 preschoolers to jump up and line up and go out the door when there's all kinds of things going on can be a real challenge and very scary. So we talk about that loud noise that we're going to hear and what are we going to do? So if it is loud, we can all put our hands on our ears, but we're all going to stand up and we're still going to look at the teacher. so that we make sure that we stay safe. And so that safety part is, why are we doing this? Why are we hearing this loud noise? Why are we jumping up to do a fire drill when there's no fire? Because there's that question. I inevitably get that question from the preschoolers. Is there a fire? Where is the fire? There isn't. We're practicing to be safe. So we're going to walk, we're going to stand up, we're going to walk to our cubby. If it is loud, if you get scared, just put your hands on your ears, but you're still going to look at me. We're all going to walk out together. And when we walk out, and that noise is going to stop so that they know it's not going to continue forever. And they don't have to stay in the classroom to hear that loud noise. If they do get anxious and that noise is unbearable for them. A situation recently that occurred was with my foster daughter. She's 3, and I happened to be gone that day at a doctor's appointment, and they had a fire drill. And when I came back to pick her up, all she could talk about was the fire drill, and did not like it, and was still very emotional after the fire drill and after the fact, and could talk about the loud noise and I not like it, and continued to get emotional. So when we returned to school the very next day, she actually didn't want to go to school the next day, but reassured her that they did that because they were keeping you safe, practicing a fire drill to keep safe. And so we walked through the building, because as we were walking down the hallway to come into school that day, she could point to every single fire alarm that was on the wall. So I walked her down the other end of the hallway and back towards the office so that we could see all of them, and that it wasn't going to go off right now. And it seemed to calm her and help her get through the day. We even talked to the principal, because she continued to ask me, who pushed the button? Why did that go off? And reminding her that it's there to keep us safe. We practice just a fire drill just to be safe. Spoke to the principal, and that reassured her again. And gradually repeating those things, being safe, practicing, it really was able to get her back into her routine without her being anxious about it all the time. Thank you so much for watching. This is how I was able to adapt these things in my classroom, make it work for my preschoolers. I've been able to share these techniques with the other preschool classroom teacher that I teach with, and it's really helped our kiddos in our program.